Strange is the night where black stars rise and strange moons circle through the skies, but stranger still is lost Carcosa. These haunting lines come from The King in Yellow, a mysterious and infamous book said to drive its readers to madness. It is not a mere story, but a forbidden work, an artifact of horror that threads its way through the minds of those who dare read it. But what exactly is The King in Yellow? Is it just a fictional play? Or is it a gateway, a doorway into something far greater and far more terrifying? Robert W. Chambers introduced readers to a different kind of cosmic horror, one that isn't about monstrous entities lurking in the void, but rather a creeping, inescapable corruption of the mind and reality itself. In this video, we unravel the mysteries of The King in Yellow, its connection to Hastur, and the ways in which it shatters the boundaries between fiction and reality. To understand The King in Yellow, we must first understand the shadow that looms over it, Hastur. Hastur's origins stretch back long before Chambers introduced him in 1895. In fact, the name first appears in Ambrose Bierce's 1893 story, Haïta the Shepherd, where Hastur is described not as a cosmic horror, but as a god of shepherds and peace. However, Robert W. Chambers took this name and transformed it into something far more ominous. In The King in Yellow, Hastur is never explicitly described, but is hinted at in whispers, veiled references, and fragmented visions. The name itself becomes a symbol of something forbidden, something so vast and unknowable that even acknowledging it brings ruin. In later years, H.P. Lovecraft and his followers absorbed Hastur into the Cthulhu mythos, describing him as an eldritch god, the King in Yellow, or the Unspeakable One. August Derleth would later categorize Hastur as one of the Great Old Ones, an entity associated with madness and corruption. But there's something deeper to Hastur's horror. Hastur is subtle. He is a whisper rather than a roar, a name that should not be spoken, a presence that is always just out of reach, waiting for the right mind to latch onto. At the center of this madness lies The King in Yellow, a fictional play referenced throughout Chambers' collection of short stories. But it is no ordinary piece of literature. Those who read the first act find it fascinating, a poetic and deeply compelling tale. But when they reach the second act, something happens. Reality begins to fracture. At first, it happens in small ways, misremembered details, déjà vu, strange coincidences. But soon, these minor inconsistencies grow into something much more disturbing. The world itself starts to feel artificial, like a fragile illusion held together by something beyond comprehension. The reader begins seeing Carcosa, a city that should not exist, overlaying their own reality. Carcosa is a paradox, a city that exists outside of time, yet is forever eroding. It is a place of impossible beauty and endless despair, where the streets shift when unobserved, and the reflections in its waters show things that were never there. Some who glimpse it describe ruins of immense grandeur, as if it were once a paradise, a place of knowledge, power, or something even greater. But now, it is a corpse of a world, rotting beneath the rule of the King in Yellow Hastur. There are whispers, fragments of forbidden texts, that suggest Carcosa was not always a city of despair. Some believe it was once a place of divine enlightenment, a celestial city where knowledge and reality itself were shaped by unseen hands. What is certain is that Carcosa is not a city you visit. It is a city that comes to you at the will of Hastur, in dreams. They hear whispers of Hastur's name, sometimes from their own mouth, though they have no memory of speaking. And then comes the moment of realization. They have become trapped between two realities, the world they once knew and the unnamed, shifting reality beneath it. There is no escape, because there was never truly a reality to begin with. This is the true horror of the King in Yellow. He does not simply take your sanity. He takes the very foundation of what you believe to be real. The play is never fully revealed in Chambers' stories. Instead, we get glimpses, fragments of its terrible beauty and inescapable horror. But the most terrifying line of all, "No living soul shall look upon the king and remain whole." What makes The King in Yellow different is its effect on reality itself. Those who read it do not simply go mad, they see through the illusion of the world. They begin to realize that reality is a thin veil, and beneath it lies something vast, ancient, and terrifying. And once you've seen it, you can never unsee it. As the mind deteriorates, so does the sense of self. Those afflicted by The King in Yellow report hearing voices in their head that are not their own, memories of events that never happened, seeing their own face change in reflections or photographs, feeling like a stranger in their own body. At first they resist, trying to hold on to their identity, but soon they realize the truth. They were never themselves to begin with. Some disappear from our world entirely, consumed by Carcosa. Others become something else, hollow puppets of the King in Yellow. The lucky ones simply fade away, forgotten by history as if they had never existed at all. His horror is a slow infection, a poisonous thought that spreads from mind to mind. Some who encounter the play spread its influence, drawing others into the madness. Others become silent witnesses, forever haunted but unable to explain what they've seen. Some try to write it down, convinced they can contain it, only to realize they have become part of it. And so the cycle continues. Every few generations, someone stumbles upon The King in Yellow, thinking themselves immune, thinking they can understand it without being consumed by it, and yet it always returns. Despite the dangers, The King in Yellow holds an irresistible pull. To those with a hunger for truth, it offers secrets hidden from mankind. To the hopeless and the lost, it promises purpose, a higher understanding. To the desperate, it whispers that there is more to this world than meets the eye. Even as the mind begins to break, there is a perverse desire to keep reading, to see Carcosa and Hastur in its entirety. If you enjoyed this explanation, consider subscribing for more content like this. See you in the next video.